First off, we'd like to recognize our outgoing board members. We've done an 8-year stint, or 7 years. 7 years. We decided to get you a cake. Go have a little celebration before the meeting. We also have a plaque for you guys. On here. There's an appreciation of your commitment to Colorado City Metro District from 2016 to 2023. This is Terry's and the fact that he's here. So if you guys would come up for a minute. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thanks for being John.
Thank you. Maybe. Yeah, you paid me sorry. Yes, trying to go in now. If you don't know.
How's that way you know who you are? Mark your car.
No, I know who I am. That's why I use my garbage.
A lot of buildings,
Keep track of it. Oh, that's pretty.
No, I've thought about it.
There you know.
Right down.
You know too much. You can call us, we'll keep it. I won't talk to Terry.
There's a lot of, and there's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of people that go.
Oh, thank you.
If that lot behind us stays empty for long, I may eventually buy it.
Thank you, sir. That's no problem.
Sure.
If I have.
I'll get up there.
It
Sit right.
might be better, but
There you go. God, I'll tell somebody young guy.
Yeah, yeah, you're.
Did you make the cake?
Yes, I have.
I'm good.
Good. That's it. Can't give it away.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's giving.
no. Just had a big old porch.
You can have it after.
Oh,
I want to speak for myself a bit to board members as well. Because, I've enjoyed working together. Both of you are active and both of them very helpful in the board. I personally appreciate that. So, we always work. Board members are all getting on there, it takes a while. Both of you, yeah, a lot of, appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. Yep. No, you are.
Thank you so much.
Okay. During the study session for the board of directors, call the city metropolitan district to order Tuesday, May 30th. Okay, first on the agenda is Valley Fish Presentation. Let's see.
Thank you all. No, not six, sorry. So our printer is a little bit out of use, you're gonna bear with us. on some of the print there, but, Misty sprayed from Valley First, I know pretty much everyone, it's been 3 months since I was here, last, and when I was here last, we were just shy of $400,000 that we raised. As of today, we've raised $717,718. So we're pretty excited. We're also pretty confident that Basin Electric is going to match San Isabel, who gave us 10,000, and then San Isabel also went out and got us another match from a community match foundation. So they gave us San Isabel gave us 20, and then when Basin gives us the other 10, we'll be at 700, basically almost 700. In the last 6 weeks alone, we raised $83,000 from businesses, local community businesses. And then we raised, if you saw the 9 News campaign, we raised $31,000 from micro giving campaign. So we had over 1,200 donors from across the state of Colorado, many of them giving $5, $10, $15. There were some bigger donations, but tons of just micro donations from people that this obligation. We also learned last month that we were submitted by both Hickenlooper and Bennett's office for the $840,000. So that's through congressional directed spending. The way that works is that you get picked, and it's pretty hard to get picked. I think Jim can speak to that. I think you guys have applied a couple of times. We got picked by both senators. Our House representative doesn't do funding there, so we got the 2 senators, which is still good. That's the first step. The next step of that process is it has to go before the HUD and Transportation Subcommittee, and then they have to go through the subcommittee on if they're going to approve all the projects that the senators put through. They don't really pick and choose like, oh, we're going to pick Hickenloopers, but not whoever's. They just say we're either going to pass them. Then after that, it has to go through the federal budget. So it's still a bit of a stretch. But if we get that, then we'll have $1.5 million, which will get us all of our original scope of work done. So that would be the football field, turfing, the bleachers, scoreboards, the new 3rd baseball field, all the trails around the park, the extension of the bathrooms, and all of that completed. So we're not obviously 100% confident. We feel good, but there's still 100% confident there. We are still applying with Edola, Florida Parks and Wildlife, and GoPro. So if that match does happen to fall through, we're still going for another 750 match from 3 other organizations. Those all come up in the fall. If by chance we happen to get both places, and I'm working with the Daniels Fund to get another 300,000, then we would also fix that track and resurface that whole track, because it's going to have drainage issues, because I don't know if you walked down there, maybe the cracks or something, some of the cracks are this wide. So we would completely resurface that track, and then also try to get lights for all pretty close to being done there. I know that Neil always is interested in the scope of work. I look on the front and back, and I'm sorry, I don't know where you're sort of part of that, but I think you know the electronic version. That's our initial scope of work with our initial bids there. We won't finalize a final scope of work until we're ready to execute the project, and it's just typical construction project management. We wouldn't want to do it because we don't know how much funding we have now, and we don't know how much we're going to get. We are very confident that we will know our total funding by December of this year, and we plan to kick off construction probably early February. We'd like to have everything ready to go to bid in January, and ensure price so they can start as soon as we're ready to go to bid. So let me pause there and see a question.
I don't see GoPro.
I thought this is like getting cut off on there. It's right here, the very first one. It says, oh, I'll email you. On the left hand side, it got cut. It says GoPro Cedola or congressional $8. I've applied 5 times to GoPro in the last year and a half, and it's been a no every time. I asked for a call with our program manager and his boss about a month ago, and I said, you know, the first time we came to you, you said we needed a community engagement study. We partnered with the health department, did an $80,000 community engagement study. I applied again. You said we didn't have enough money. Now we have 50% of the money. You still said no. And I said, what else can we do? And she basically said, there's not anything else we can do. Race parks aren't getting selected. If I had to guess, I think it's because they feel like they invested a big chunk of money in the first 2 phases and then we never got it finished. And that puts it out on us. And so I think they were like, we're not going to get you. Take the impression. There's not anything else.
So have they said that, or would that be that come?
That's my assumption, because there's no other reason that it's been qualified for the previous, when you started though. Yeah, that was back in 20 years. That was way before. Any other questions on the fundraising? Team effort for sure, not just me. There's a lot of phone calls. The other piece of paper that you have, I probably heard or seen on Facebook, we had Greenhorn Valley Days here for a long time. I moved here probably 15 years ago, and I think that's about when it ended. But what we did Swing into Spring last year. We renamed it Greenhorn Valley Days. That's more familiar to the community. So we have live music, we have bands coming from the state. There's a firefighter band that travels all over now here for 3 hours, playing for free, volunteering their time. We have a co-ed softball, food trucks, vendors. We're gonna have kids activities with water tanks, bounce houses, all of that, and it's free for the community. Obviously, they pay for family for whatever, but it should be a fun day for the community. And with the dump tanks, if any of the board members would like to sign up, we have like these little dump tanks that dump buckets of water, and people throw targets, and they have to pay to dump water on these. It's a fun activity for the board members. So other than that, we just are, but we had a good turnout last year, but are hoping it's even better. This is a big full page ad, but it's every single household here in the valley will get a postcard size of this, a 6x9 postcard in the next 3 weeks. So we're doing direct, every door direct mail. On that, or I guess maybe my. All right, any questions?
Date on your, Greenhorn Valley Days.
Oh, sorry, July 29th. You should have given me a copy, Jim, I'll bring that over to you. It's the same, it's the day after the all school, is there an all school reading here or school reading? It's that next stage.
That's the Saturday.
Yeah. We're glad that all the board members pick me out, and we're gonna invite our state representatives, our senators, all the people who can help us, our grant funders, and all the ways that they can help.
So on your discussion, the first step, or are you going to attack?
So if we get all of this funding in December, the first thing that they'll do is the turf, because seasonally turf you can lay any time of year. The asphalt is the other big project, but that can't start until it reaches a certain temperature. So they would have to match the temperature until probably April and May. I think they said it has to be like consistently 60 degrees or something. But otherwise, the rest is just bleacher that will bring you in. The same thing with the track resurfacing with $18. But we would get all of it done this first season. And we're working with Atencio Engineering. I'm trying to find a little bit of additional funding so that she can be our general contractor. Overseeing quality assurance and getting involved.
So when you say turf installation, I see you have turf installation on the football field and on baseball field. Both of them now, or just?
So we're adding a third little hill next to the other two.
We're going to turf on both of them kind of at the same time. So.
Yeah. We won't return the current. The other thing that we would need to talk about here eventually is that we'd like to propose that the Metro Board put away or plan to put away $40,000 to $50,000 a year out of the summer budget. And as we start having more events there, we're going to start seeing a lot more of it. movie nights and things like that, so we can put aside some of that money. Because what we don't want to have happen is that turf standing needs to be replaced in 15 to 20 years, it doesn't have a lifetime warranty on it. We don't want to come back to our grant vendors in 15 years and be responsible for the site for money to take care for our, what you gave us. So if we did $1 million, we want to be sure that we can really do that. And I think we can easily do that with the Vanguard program on the fences and then for the events that we approve.
And we should be able to do that. Where we post them.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I set that up. The new field, yeah, artificial turf, and then they come rake those every year. It's about $2,500 to rake and maintenance, just so it's not a heavy cost every year, but every 15 to 20 years, you have to completely take out that turf and replace it. It just
Not true, it's the field.
yeah. So,
Like a rock. So, when you're putting rubber or sand or whatever, adding them. And every 18 years, you gotta do something always up.
it's pretty, it's not the same price as brand new turf, but it's about like.
What about engineering?
Actually, we've been working with Amanda since we found all the old engineering plans, so we have those back from 20 years ago, so she's working on those to just make some minor modifications and we'll pay her for that. She'll have to engineer the baseball field, but I'm gonna work with Lola to have them do put it
Can we get a copy of that?
when they're done, yep. I can actually email you the old digital version that we have, that's 20 years old, but there'll be some. Any questions?
The turf is basically like you got to clean it once in a while, and then it doesn't get lost.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any question, discussion, concern?
Hey, Harry, you can't leave yet. They haven't approved your check.
Oh, I can get it anytime.
Thank you, guys.
Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Good job.
Okay, next, resolution 12-2023 signature on, Bank San Juan accounts. So your yellow section, the first one, this is resolution to, remove Harry and Terry off of, the account and add Ray and, when we do this,
Ray and Cliff's the only one's got to sign, right?
no, everybody will have to sign it again. So, but we can't get the paperwork until we get the signed minutes from this meeting, so it will be after the next meeting before we start all the paperwork. And hopefully we can do it like we did the last time and bring it in and right before the meeting, they have the auditors from sign. But you can do it after the next. Okay, next on the agenda, we have, property offer, it's unified, lot 544. It's right off of Colorado, where they built that house on. It's like here. But it's right here, it's still a piece of property. There is water and sewer in that cul-de-sac. I know they own the 2 other lots in that cul-de-sac, and they're interested in having to. So their offer is $7,000 for it. That's for that licensing board. In our book, the book value is 1,380.
That's the assessed value.
Yeah, that's the
No,
book, that's the
Oh, the
original
Mansburg
book
book.
value
All right.
that we have for that.
Then
So I did look at that property, it is, they own the lot next to it, I would guess that. Randall Clinton building,
Probably. They know he's building on the other cul-de-sac on the other side too.
with the maker components of. Lot building.
Or they take out the lot.
Yeah.
It's out of, I don't think built here, in the past.
Yeah.
It's out of process that they used in the past.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
did that a
quarter
lot.
lot.
They did that a lot in, Fort Jefferson. They buy 2 lots and then they buy other ones.
All by itself. So it's one.
Hey, any questions? Next, CCAC review of the red section. There is one new bill, that is up that has been looked at and inspected by the CCA committee. They have went through it and it looks like it's, they approved it. It's up to the board for review. That is on UA. And I believe that they had vacated a lot on that from those 2 properties too.
And we talked to the gentleman a number of times to make sure everything is followed through properly. All covered. Stakes, everything. He came in a couple, 2 or 3 times and then came to the meeting and then talked again. And so I think we have it all lined up.
My question, it says that the county stopped for administrative issues. What was that all about?
Well, he had put in some of the paperwork and we called him because it wasn't complete. And then he thought it was gonna go right to the board. And then I called him back and I said, no, we can't because it's not complete. And he said, well, I guess it's okay because actually we put it in the trust and now the county says they can't approve it, because you gotta take it out of the trust first, then approve it, and so on. So there was a time limit there for him to get through with the county.
Understood.
So this form that you gave us, this is a kind of the new inspection report form.
Yeah, we have, that kind of follows the old one, but we've added a few things just to make sure we check off all of it.
That gives us pretty good information.
Okay, good. I mean, if there's something else you're looking for, please let us know.
I did look this up on, this is on the east end of the road. And hasn't vacated for some time. Next question, Bert? Okay, we're going to close the study session. And then for the regular meeting of the Board of Directors, Council Metropolitan District for Tuesday, May 30th, 2023, at 6:25. If you want to pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have the certificate of officers, we did, their oath and stuff last Wednesday. We can only, do their oath, that's why they're sitting in their places, and as, you know, Ray Davis is one of our new board members, and Clay Gross, and Neil, which he is voted in, so all of our board members are in now, and Jody and Harry, thank you, and Judge Lucy.
Would you join the room inside the question? Thank you. Okay, let's, make sure that we have a full form. I voted with the and for the rules of regs and changes of board, we need to elect officers of the board.
So in the past, we elected a chairman, and usually the co-chair and the secretary would put them together, and then we name a treasurer. So we can take nominations from the board as to each individual one, and go that way. So for the chair, who do you have any recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Mr. Chairman. I'll second that.
So I've got a nomination for Neil and a second for Neil Elliott for chair. Do you have any other nominations?
And I'd like to speak if possible. So, I just want to say that, I'm going to support him this time around. And I would like to see, the rest of the board support him. And the reason why is because he spends a lot of time down here. Doing things that a chairman should do. Keeps us on the board informed. I don't always agree with everything he does. In fact, I was debating on whether or not I support him. But I have not seen a chairman since I've been on the board that spends as much time down here as doing things as he does. So I just wanted to say that. I would like to say one thing too. I had looked at some of the meetings online. Of course, I was at some of the meetings in person, and I thought that Chairman Elliott brought to the board fundamental knowledge how things are supposed to go. And I think that that's an important thing to have in the chairman. To draw a line, sometimes you need to draw a line. So that's why I'm supporting.
Okay, so do I have a motion to these nominations for chairman? Now do I have a nomination for chairperson and secretary?
So I'd make a nomination. I am so sorry. Clint. Thank you. This will take me a while to remember, but I would make a motion that we nominate Clint for the co-chair secretary. I'll second that.
Got a motion by Greg and a second by Ray. Yeah,
I'll
I got
remember
the
their names
same
here
thing,
shortly.
I got the same thing.
That's easy. There you go.
Think we probably want to vote on.
Well, what I was thinking is, since there's only one on each, now if there was two on each, one of them, then I'd say we got.
But I think we should record the vote.
Okay. So on chairman, all, whatever we call for the vote. I'm the chairperson, making it Neil.
Ray, you vote.
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Clint,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. I want to make a statement about that. Because, I appreciate your support. I certainly understand the disagreement. I think it probably is, I believe it's probably important. You have disagreements. And we were discussing. I would like to do a better job of communicating with the entire board. I also remind the board that we do this, we, for our rules and regs, we do this, and you're supposed to elect the officers of the board and And we can, any board member can request an election of officers at any time. If that passes, the board that would happen at any time going forward. I definitely am not in this situation as a politician, but I do think that probably the wisest thing as we change the board, there's certainly as much change as there is on the board. It's wise to keep open continuity. Beyond that, I would welcome anybody to step up and enjoy the show. So, thanks for your support.
And with that, I have Frank nominated for co-chair, secretary, and another nomination. So I need to so much.
Let's call for the vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
Yes.
Right, and the last one is, I have is treasurer.
I would make a nomination at this time, Sarah. I'll second that.
I have a motion by Dave and a second by Dave. Any other?
Call the vote. Frank,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Jeff votes yes.
Yes.
Sarah? Whether you like it or not?
Okay. So the next, order of business. Yeah.
Approval of agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Moving second. Any questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We got one, done. Approval of the past minutes.
With that, we have one addition, we did have Barry on signing minutes, which, we changed it to Sarah. From the copy that you guys have, was on the first one for the study session, we changed that from Mary Costello to Sarah. So,
If we get a. If we get a second, I
yeah,
can,
we didn't get a motion.
we didn't get a motion yet. That's what.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Moving second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's being,
Okay, Bill Pickleball, there'll be in the blue section.
Please tell me we've gotten that natural gas out. of the way.
It's dropping. Been hot since, like I said, the, or whatever. Maybe two bills, but it's, yeah. It's still high, I'm gonna have to call them just for something wrong there. So that was up.
so that's last month thing. So that would be more, quite a lot.
So we got, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So one thing I do want to, I'll interrupt for a little bit. I want to remind you, and, that we still need to follow the decorum rules of being recognized to speak. If you will, please. Okay, go ahead.
Right. Okay, so, we got it off for a month. Do we know when this here cutoff cycle?
I have to look at that. On this,
I mean, you would think that you would smell a leak over there.
Yeah.
But we've got something major going on. If this is, are we a month behind, 2 months behind, or we don't know?
I think it's usually a month,
And we've had a shut off for,
probably since the middle of the day.
if they check a meter.
So that's the next step, and then following whether this will is strong, because it's been on.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be. And use, especially on that,
Have they physically shut the valve off?
not.
we may have a leak somewhere, but we're just not smelling. I have a hard time believing
Can't smell. Because they did have a leak on the other side of the kitchen. They ended up shutting down because there wasn't, I mean, you could smell it. But there was no smell. Now
I
it's
think
better,
the
so-
finance director has some information for us on time.
Yeah, so the meter read dates this period of April tenth till May eighth.
I have a sniffer. If you guys want to borrow it, it's they're only about $30 online. Got an offer out of it. Check a few joints. That's fine.
Anybody else?
Another change to one coil was leaking. That was creating a lot of turbulence within the pump. And then the pump, it was 20 years old and it was running up about 3 scale. So we made upgrades every month for, like I said, now we shut it down. You probably have 2 days out of this bill. So the next bill should have it.
Yeah, so we should note that, because this is an increase.
Yeah.
So we should know quickly go. I also, Ray, would you be willing to do this smell test?
Well, I could, but I'm not exactly sure where all the connections.
I'll go there with you. I guess as far as, we can just go around and ask,
Try it.
try it out.
The easiest way is to call Colorado Natural Gas. If there is a leak, take it.
That's a good.
We'll call it.
Will they step it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, they'll even probably replace the meter.
Yeah.
For us.
That's the best way to do it.
Because that meter is probably 20 years old.
It's the original meter since we put natural gas.
Jim, would you do that?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah.
Please, thank you. Okay, any other questions, concerns about that?
I have one.
Go ahead.
This is item 36466 is a refund of school charges to one Dan Dinwiddie. What was that about?
Well, we
So
have,
$325.
I think they did a sewer audit, and that account came back as having a sewer, and it actually does not. So they had to refund it back too, so the county started charging.
So it's on the septic.
I believe it.
What is the size of the problem?
it's- yeah,
I think it's
usually a three-quarter scale. And this is some of those that were early on though, too, so it could be on a half acre that they approved go back then.
So it's obviously,
Yeah.
it's going to come.
And that's why it was kind of confusing when we did our audit. We went by what the sewer lines that were put in, and somebody had already put in septic where they were grandfathered in where we put them, where now they have, when we do put a sewer line in, they turn around and they have to look for us.
How many of these do you think we have?
We have what, 24?
24, 28. Cool. Any other questions? Jim, I have a couple. Those are pretty simple. Yeah. Refund for pavilion. I also have refunds coming out of the front department. They are big, they start to use it for the refund for pavilion, for example, when somebody actually reserves a pavilion, what kind of policy do we have that we retain part of their reservation fee, or how does that work?
I'm not quite sure, I'd have to ask Josh, but I believe he has a deposit that they put down on it to reserve it.
If we're reserving, or someone reserving a pavilion or any of the facilities and then cancels out, that prevents us from reaching to somebody else in the meantime. So we should be,
But if there's like 2 days or a week before or something, that changes, that's when we try to mention it like that.
If there was weather
related to the lottery, maybe. You know, but, I mean, you don't want to.
That's true. That's true. And then we have the election services. There's $7,400 for election services.
That's part of our election.
Is that, it did cost us more than that.
Yes, this is the second payment on it, and we have one more. We haven't got the check yet.
But they're reimbursing us.
We're supposed to be reimbursing stuff. So I have an email went to Sabrina, and she sent me an email saying that we were going to send us a check. We haven't received it.
Okay. And any other questions? What is one?
Okay, so you want to accept the,
I make a motion that we pay the bills.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
the operational report. Within the yellow section. I did put in a letter there from, Mr. Perry and John Unduli. It says here, temporary lift for storage restrictions, Bedford Dam is currently under one foot for approximately 7 acre feet. Storage restriction ordered by the state engineer, dated October 19th of 2021. The dam safety compliance plan revised November 7th of 2022 is intended to cause rehabilitation of the dam to address safety deficiencies of leaks and crest instability and inadequate dam works capacity. On May 11th of 2023, our dam safety staff performed the annual inspection of the Bedford Dam and found no new or worsening conditions. We met with you, the Public Works Director and Metro District's Board President to review required actions and the district's progress on the dam rehabilitation project. The district has obtained grant funding for final engineering, design, and approval of the construction loan with detailed design expected to begin in August of 2023. The construction expected in the second half of 2024. The district has diligently complied with monitoring and maintenance requirements as required in the compliance plan and the state safety, dam safety inspection report. Also, we recently issued an updated emergency action plan for the dam. At the May 11th meeting, we required the temporary lifting of the state engineer's storage restriction based on hardship associated with long-term drought in the Arkansas Basin, River Basin, along with short-term opportunity to store storage from recent rain and snow. We have considered your request and believe that the restrictions can be lifted temporarily without significant increased dam safety risk, while providing much needed water supply benefits to your community. Our decision is supported by the district's process, compliance, and the findings of our recent dam inspection. Therefore, by this letter, we grant temporary reprieve of the 1 foot storage restriction for 2 months time from the date of this letter until July 16th. And contingent on following increased monitoring and emergency preparedness requirements. We have met all of them. The district will review our new emergency action plan with the Fulton County emergency manager to ensure that he is aware of the dam's public potential and dam breach in duration mapping. The district will verify that pumps are readily available to meet the 20 CFS capacity during the emergency reservoir down draw. The district will perform daily visual surveillance of the dam and unusual or increased seepage of other signs of distress. The district will provide weekly tabulations of reservoir levels and instrumentation data as well as a review of the elevations by their engineer of instrumentation monitoring data to the office. The district will schedule and complete the required annual movement survey by June 1st and will provide movement survey results to the engineer and to our office promptly. The district will provide immediate notification to the engineer and for our office. Any signs of distress are observed at the dam, including but not limited to tracking limit and unusual. Following this temporary period, the original 1 foot state engineer storage restriction order will automatically resume and will remain in place until which time as the district satisfies rehabilitation of the dam to address dam safety deficiencies. And again, violations of this agreement will be considered positive, reverting to the original 1 foot storage restrictions. The district required actions listed above and with 2022 compliance on either minimum that you can do to improve the safety of your dam. Additional actions may be necessary based upon the recommendations of the engineer or discovery of new information. Additional storage restrictions may be issued by our office with conditions of the dam list. Should you have any questions about the matters of other dam safety issues, please contact the regional dam safety monitoring at business phone number and at the regional address. With that being said, I did do the emergency action plan. It was all up to date. We added new people to it for CDOT, also State Patrol. A big call for pumps. United says that they don't have a 20 CFM pump, but they have 3 Tims. We can use 3 Tims to move the water if we need to. We also have been doing regular. I did talk to Greg, and he does want barometer tests with the level of the lake. He just wants to make sure that it will help them design the little bit better.
Yeah, the survey monuments was done. A week and a half ago. So all that is taken care of.
And I got the report from Walker today, so I emailed it out to everybody. Yeah.
So we have met everything.
So the contingency items for temporary lithium storage restriction, are we doing a daily visual?
I'm there every morning.
Usually I drive over it when I go through too.
And how quick could the
Right, there is total. So you got 30 minutes. And the crew, most likely it'd be about an hour and a half for them to mobilize and everything to calm down. They said he has that, we'll set it up and do it all. With that too, is we have a 16-inch outlet that if we need to, we can open it up and run it into the ponds and stuff. Yeah, I'll give you on golf course.
Your question about the daily, isn't that what this report is?
Yeah.
That's your daily.
That's our daily, our weekly, we have a weekly monitoring schedule that Ray does, and it's this one. And it tells you what our 6-inch,
Our drains coming out of the dam, I measured the flow coming out, a 6-inch, 4-inch. I measured some different areas within the dam on the downside, downfall side.
they're specifically requested do our unusual to see each other sign of distress. But we
I walk
look into that, or we talking over there.
Yeah. And if you notice, since we've raised it in the last couple of weeks, we have a little bit more, but that's because we've lost that seal from being down that low. Now that soil has to get that moisture back back to, and you'll see those as we go on through the next month or two, they'll start dropping. But yeah, we also have the, odometer test that we give weekly or monthly, which we will be doing it now weekly. That tells there is holes drilled in the dam that will take the odometer, drop it down into it, and it will start beeping when it hits water. And you'll get a depth on that as to where the water's at.
But they use that to say how much water inside.
It's inside the bank.
Yeah, actually inside the dam itself. The water moves through it. And then it all collects and goes through this drain. So,
So if we don't see a reduction in this last reading, we need to be aware of that.
That will keep it monitored. As to,
well, it's gonna take a bit, it's just not an overnight situation.
it's gotta compact itself back in.
Yeah, because it's been a year or a year now, and it's.
Year and a half, well, there.
We don't know if that lasts.
Like a desert. When you walk across the road and there's been no rain, you start seeing the cracks. That's what happens.
Easy.
And I also have the report, the monthly report that I sent you there. I did you guys read it? There's not too much changes. Other than that, we're trying to, still get funding through, congressional, funding, which we got okay through the first step through both, senators for $3 million. Also, I'm looking at going to the governor's, the governor has a water plan that he wants to increase storage. So that's another outlet to get that extra 10 foot that we need to. But this is funding for just the requirement of getting it, rehabilitated. At this point, and the base for the 10 foot.
Yeah, in the letter, everything is undated except one item. That's on the back of the letter. It's by June 1st, which is tomorrow, we're supposed to provide movement surveys to engineers.
And that was what I got today.
We got that, and that's already on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You don't have a question.
I was referencing the progress report, regarding the funding and grants and what we're looking at. Just based on the ARPA grant, I would recommend that we have some sort of a, grant committee for oversight.
I'm sorry, say, wrong page.
So we have a grant committee for all of these grants we're getting. So ARPA, we didn't have that, so there was, a lot of holes in the audits that we had to fill in way after the fact. So just as a board and the engineer, we all have a fiduciary duty to make sure that the money that we get for keep. So what they talk about is, it's like compliance with documentation. So if you don't have documentation, we're not in compliance. That is the best practice recommendation from the Government Finance Officers Association is basically the short, high-level process is to establish a committee or somebody for oversight, establish everyone who has a role and responsibility in this program. And then Jim would have to provide training to all employees involved to make sure that we're following every single compliance item that we agree to. And then at the same time, we should be evaluating and monitoring controls, establishing controls, and making sure we're following them. And then I believe San Bernardo and his team would back me up as far as engaging our auditor. So like with the ARPA grant, I think I've engaged him 3 or 4 times to make sure that we are on track to keep our money.
Point taken, I guess, so we should have a specific grant committee from the board to oversee the,
Yeah.
what would we see?
We want to make sure that like, so once we accept that money and we sign that contract for instance with ARPA, that is basically, an obligation now that we have, it's a contract. And we have to make sure that we hit every single bullet point that we're agreeing to in that contract, make sure that we are hitting that. For instance, they were supposed to give us a debarment suspension report. We don't have that. They were supposed to give us insurance documents. We don't have that. So all of that, well, I have a big book now that, will go to our auditors. And then our auditors get, they have oversight from the federal government on the audit that our auditors. So not only do our auditors look at this, but federal government will be looking at it. And I just want to make sure that we have everything that we need. So,
The other thing is the payroll, you have payroll, it's a federal grant, you're doing, things, taking wages, and all of the other requirements.
If it's a federal grant.
So do we have a couple of members on the board or a member on the board that would be willing to take the time? How much time do you think,
I have spent a lot of time
how much time are you looking for the committee?
of the committee. I would probably say maybe more frequent at first, get everybody on board with their roles and responsibilities and the controls that we monitor. And then I don't know, maybe what,
Be about an hour.
a month? Yeah, really.
And you, and you're pretty good, people don't want to do, usually, too.
I've seen that everyone, I'll absolutely be involved.
And I think-
But I'd like to have.
I will, you'll have to,
The only thing is like, thing is, you get over to.
No,
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you can have an alternate,
And I think,
I can do
one of the things I would recommend is having, and they agree to do this, having one of our auditors come here and talk to the board about all the impacts and, you know, amount of money that we're gonna take, that we can accept that money and still have an enterprise.
Okay, I'm going to appoint myself and Sarah as a factor. And if we need to change that, and if there's other input from the board, I'd like to have it.
Be multiple, something like that.
Good. That would help a lot. People aren't these drop outs. Okay, so. Thanks. And then I think we need to get with you and set up an appointment and then get together with you and Hoggar. Thank you. All right. Anything else, Jim? No. Anybody have any, questions about operational report?
Can you go back to the financial report? That was the-
Okay, then let's move on through these reports first and then. Rebel,
it's, we're up and running, we can get an agreement with things to work.
committee reports,
We have one until the beginning of next.
the committee,
Or, yep.
so I'm gonna look at Sarah again. Do we have a newsletter? We don't. Do you have the bill gone out? Do you have time to do one?
No, she had one.
Oh, you did?
She's not like me. She doesn't wait till the day before. She does it right away.
I don't know, how you mind it. Cool. That's done. Cool, thank you. And I guess that's it. Okay, let's go back to, what did you want to do about the finance?
I sent an email out earlier today, but I got a couple bounce backs, so I'm not sure everybody got it, so I did want to cover it.
So the way to fix that is that rather than going through that, I think you ought to just get the emails and send it back out.
Maybe Jim, are you doing an updated email?
Yeah, well, she sent out all the emails to everybody, saying as I sent them out to work. Yes, we have had problems with rates, with birds at this time, and, I have to get all the money to get that straightened out.
And I called them also. Yeah, because I went ahead and entered that email address and now I can't get into my account. And what's it called? My telephone.
Yeah, so
I can't use it.
Jay's Rally, yeah. So
They said they're working on
I got a technician that sent me an email about 3 o'clock this afternoon, to give him a call. So, it's working on it, hopefully it's 7 o'clock. What it was is, when they entered them, right telephone see it, but the text didn't see it on the.
So what did the email say, Mark?
It just said that the April 2023 financial report will be delayed. The payroll ledgers are still not closed and training is still pending at this time. Please direct any questions regarding that to Jim Ecker.
Any questions about?
I do have a question. Do you feel like you have quality time to train?
I've been training probably 60 to 70% of my job. It's not my job to train, but because I want to get the financials out, I want to get the meter fixed and the ARPA grant done. I do that, but it impacts my ability to get my own job done.
Right.
And it's snowball. So right now, that's why I recommended last year that we outsource payroll. Nobody wants to drop that control. And that's just feedback, that I get. So either I end up doing it like earlier this year, but I just don't have the time because I'm trying to get on this ARPA thing as fast as I could. But I'm training on meters, I'm training Jim on ARPA grant, I'm training on payroll, I'm training on AP. I just been stretched everything.
She went, and last week, the arm was out. She went to, Oregon to a conference to help with all of this, federal funding and stuff, the different regulations. How we need to actually go through and make sure that we got that.
Started going with it, so we appreciate the hard work. I know it's hard to do training if people walking the door. And that's that'll be one of the difficulties. I hope that maybe we can figure a way around.
Which you're still looking for somebody for summer and full time.
And outsourcing.
Yeah,
So we have
outsourcing
two
too.
proposals. Well, and the first one is, I don't think it works for me because they don't do HR. That's one of my biggest things that I have to do with HR. They don't do quarterly reports from what I saw. They don't do W-2s and 1099. So all of that does not take anything off of me. It's basically just a basic payroll program, which we already have. The other one is I'm still looking at.
A little more, it has all of it in that package.
Okay, big shape. In order for business reports to be conducted in the most effective and expeditious manner, it is necessary that all persons present maintain a demeanor of civility toward the board, staff, and each other. Conduct that appears threatening or aggressive will not be tolerated. Shouting, speaking out of order, or the use of offensive gestures similarly are not acceptable. Such behavior shall constitute the forfeiture of the right to remain in attendance and may, if any order brought to the board's attention by council or any board member, including the chairperson, result in being asked to leave the meeting by the chairperson or, following refusal, be escorted out of the meeting by the proper authority.
There's nobody signed up.
Anybody have any comment?
I did have about a 5-page speech.
Does anybody have any comment? Do we have an attorney report?
What I did is I added into the books, just as a reminder from the lawyer, and I know I gave it at the oath the new board members coming in. Rules on conflict of interest, rules of conduct, and ethical principles. So just a refresher for past board members.
Which brings up the advisor to Julie that
No, I didn't think it was for the water.
which you would. Let's move on to the agenda.
Make a motion at this time that resolution 12-2023 signature on bank standalone accounts be approved.
Moving second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 12-2023 passed. Dr. Alford,
Make a motion at this time that we accept the property offer of unit 51545 for $7,000. Second.
moved and second, discussion.
You just have to say it.
Any discussion? I typically feel non-block to it. I'm glad to see this. I think this is the reason why. Part of the reason why is I would imagine he's gonna build on it. I think it's wise for us to be able to consider that when we sell property. It doesn't do us a lot of good to sell properties if somebody's just gonna hold it like an investment. What it does is we can have it being built up. So I think it's the reason why. Other discussion. Let's vote. Clint, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Dave?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Thank you.
Applewood Park, John is still waiting for, veteran, bid. And that will be pretty much the end of Applewood Park if you get closer.
So wait for the bid, what does that mean?
Yeah, he's trying to find some bids for people to put in the fence. Or see what it's gonna cost them for the fencing and the poles, the bridge guys to do it, or somebody can do it cheaper, or at the same price. You know, to get it done.
Isn't the fence company down here?
Yeah, he talked to them already, and they're backed up so far back that he ended up giving another couple of contractors that do fencing, I guess, under them or whatever, to get a bid for that.
Where were we going?
I was just gonna ask, so the park is open so they can use it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I want.
Park is open, they can use it, like I said, all it is getting the fence up so that way people are right up next to it.
And then if I may continue, just one. Are they using it?
As I know, I'm not, I haven't been up there. I know that there is kids that have them.
I drove by one day for a while, because yeah,
So, good.
Okay, next do well. I talked to Dave last week. He will be here to reevaluate the do well. We did screen to do that first section that we would do the fund for the $5,000 to check the casing and stuff that way. But we wanted to come back in and make sure that he is right in what he's thinking first before he mobilizes it. So it's going to do an evaluation sometime next year, so it should be out. One thing I did put on there is work orders. Yvonne did train girls here in the office. I trained the guys out in the field. We are going through another GIS program, which is Diamond Maps now, where we can do work orders and we'll shoot that work order from them straight to their email, with notification out in the field, and then we go right to their work orders instead of having to come back or maybe looking through that paper work order. we ran into a couple of snakes, but, we'd like to also kind of give you a,
Yeah.
demo on how it works and stuff at the next meeting. Once you get all the bugs kind of figured out and what's happening.
And you also saved $3,200 by migrating from the old system or the old GIS program to this stuff. We got a term that saved this at Colorado worldwide. So we need to think into
Big this and also Scott
it.
Hall.
Scott,
Questions, old business?
Can I bring up? everything?
Yeah. Was it the business over?
Well, it's old business. And the old business is the old camper at the ball field. It's still there. I know that we talked about towing it in a 72-hour warning. And looking over the towing rules in Colorado law, it seems like we have the right to do it. I don't know why we have to. The second thing, this is just one of the things that we can do that we're not at the mercy of zoning hotel. We can just do it. And so I would like to think that we would get that done.
Well, we were looking to try and find a phone company, haul it off and keep it. And at this point in time, I haven't found anybody that will want to charge us.
Yeah, and I would be okay with them charging us. Because if they charge us $500, that's $500. But I saw, probably a couple of weeks ago, I saw a big, and I'm just gonna use this phrase, big old hippie bus pull in there right next to that. And I'm afraid that someday we're gonna wake up and there's gonna be two. And that's gonna be $10,000 or three. And I think that by not acting on it, we're sending a message. And that's all I got to say. Yeah. So, what, I haven't seen the bus. Is it an old piece of junk or what is it?
It's kind of a old RV.
So when we get a Winnebago, when we get down here, I've got to bring the most.
Okay.
Just remind me, don't let me get out
I
there.
wanted to catch you last week, but we didn't.
Don't let me get out the door and I'll make a phone call. He might answer.
I think the community needs to understand that they can serve it out because it's easy. They can't go on any, like, any law, because
It's a private lot, we have no. But if it's on our property,
Right.
our green belt. Yes.
Now, to do that, you still need to be careful. Take it back. The deputies already have the railroad, so we can find the boat, but not to. We know that we do have deputies or railroad signs.
Yeah, he deals with the state all the time.
And, that also brings up, the meeting last week. Neil and I attended, the meeting with, Dave Lucero, the sheriff, and also Johnson, who down here at the golf course. One of the things that I asked Dave is if we could get back into the old meetings like Terry and I went to, of having all the players in Fellow County together at one place to help eliminate a lot of these things by what can, the health department do, what are regulations for zoning, what are the regulations for building and stuff to hopefully come to a mutual agreement that when we call, they say, hey, okay, I got a problem out here with squatters who are putting up a shed. Do they come through regional building department? No, you need to go send somebody out there to handle it, that kind of situation.
I know at least one resident of Colorado City that's been through the whole process. That happened to be related to the former sheriff. And there is a difficulty getting the agencies to do things. But I think that maybe one day a group of citizens will decide that enough's enough.
and start to, put together a united approach to addressing these with the agencies and our county commissioner, is that we be able to try to get, maybe some extra pressure, because it's hell, it's zoning, no doubt.
Well, and you can't scare it started to clean itself up when we had these, because everybody was talking to everybody, and it was, okay, you know, I need a deputy to go with my building down there to
That's
file a
what you're saying.
complaint. So by getting everybody in the room and they're working together, it makes it a lot, the system run a lot.
Get you.
Mr. Chairman,
I thought it was really effective because, you know, when you get to know someone more than just a voice on the phone or an email address, they're much more likely to respond to you than if they don't have a clue who you are. They just, you know, it's one of 500 emails they got that day or 15 voicemails. And the general attitude of everybody there, I mean, they said, you know, at times we're backed up, blah, 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 which, you know, who isn't? But it seemed very cooperative. And the thing is, it's like, well, we have a guy there expecting tomorrow. We'll send him over and check it out. Okay, that's all we need. And then he goes, sees the situation, reports back, and it's like, okay, now we need to do something about it.
wonder if the chairman of the Health Advisory Committee, we can just a moment.
Yeah, and then talked about that too. We talked about maybe when you're guys on the committee, kind of help a little bit. Yeah, if you have a lot, right? We do, and we're more than willing to get involved with that and meet with the people. The meeting that was the other night, I barely got in town. I didn't realize the timing of the meeting, or we would have been there, but I think Randy was telling us about it.
Yeah.
And we talked about that in our committee, you know, a month ago, about getting with those, you know, the different people involved, so that we could highlight with them and ask them to be more aware of how to help us with following up on this. So, yeah, be more than willing to do.
Old business, I do. Yeah, a couple things I have, I guess, just updates on, would be security of the plant and, the media project. The updates on the security of the plant.
We haven't got. I'll work on that to get. Yeah. As for the, meters, I know they changed out at one last month.
We were changing some out today, I don't know how many they got, they were changing out.
We did have a discussion with, Joey from Neptune, on the results of the meters that went back. And I told him, I said, you know, this is unacceptable. Said I can understand 1%, but we have 800 meters and we have 22 of them that go back. That isn't 1%. And so he said, yes, when they finally figured out what happened with the meters, they're still testing them. He said that he will give his big boss down here, and I told him, well, I need to be compensated, not just only for the meters, but for the time and effort and everything else. And so they will work that, that's fine. Well, that's where we need to be up there, you know, where we're out of the loop, so. Good.
Don't let up on
No,
Salesman will fill you full of nonsense.
I know. Yvonne was in the meeting.
Ask for a commitment, yeah, and we don't even know yet this month if we have a month, so. So, checking.
So when you said replacing meters, they're replacing, not installing new ones.
Well, they have new ones and also replacing those, some of the ones that want.
We're all working towards doing that project.
Yes. That's our goal, this summer. Get it all completed.
I don't want to
Like you said,
timeline on there yet.
yeah,
Sooner or later, we're going to have to.
I know, the thing is we're at that point where these are the worst meters to have to replace all in that wood. The other section, and a lot of them are being grown by trees and all of that.
So, recognize that. New business? Anybody got new business?
And I would like to request a field trip for at least one board member. That would be me. I would like to somehow work that out, or maybe, I know everybody's busy. Sometime
Go visit the plants and
go visit the plants, see how they're running now. Get some basic explanations of where the water's going, when. I'd love to do that. Well, I would.
okay, let me know. Just come in and that hour or something. When you want.
Well, you choose, because I don't know how busy and when. So
It's best to walk with them and then they don't come up.
believe me, they don't.
No, they don't. Well, it's good news once in a while.
I gotta sleep sometime.
Still, whatever it works out for you, Jim, you're not busier than I am. Yeah.
Let me look at my schedule and walk.
Right.
Also got a date and time or whatever.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Then another two want to go at another time to do that.
Let's do
Because I know Neil visits all of us.
I like religion, but I let them off.
We drop in.
You have to announce it.
I do travel around it. A couple of things on new business. I think that we need to, whether it be the next meeting or whenever, we need to address our road issues, road access issues for new builds or for builds in general. But I guess I would challenge all the board members to learn what they can about how different counties, whether it be Pueblo County or whoever, permits and authorizes road access to access a road. We have a problem with that. We haven't been watching it well, and if we were ever to want to pass on a road maintenance over to Pueblo County, we have to bring all the road access up to Pueblo County standard. They are not. And we probably have to have on our architectural control from that, on the permit to build, we probably ought to have a place on that for road access. Pueblo County has one, but of course, if it's not a Pueblo County road, like so much of our city is not a Pueblo County road, Pueblo County doesn't care.
Usually on your CO, that's where you're gonna sign off on it. Those who meets your requirements for either the swale or whatever.
They don't have to sign off if it's not a Pueblo County road, so Pueblo County road.
But we do.
That's right, we need to sign off. And we maybe need to have that on our form, to sign off for the design and the approved road access for the driveway. We do have, I've received a few calls from citizens about being concerned that our roads are washing out. And this probably, most of them are because of a driveway being put in that does not have access drainage. So I'd suggest that we kind of learn about that and discuss that maybe.
I could pull up the Pueblo County standards.
I talked about. It is there, so anyway, that's your business.
Can I just? Did you that one? I was gonna ask Mr. Kraus, since you joined us tonight, are we gonna see you here a lot? As a reporter or?
Probably, I haven't convinced the editor yet. That would be that she's my comment. I'm working on it.
But seriously, this is a serious question. I recall when I was on the board, sometime back in the early 2000s, the Colorado City got out of the road building business entirely. We adopted some roads. And we were having some issues with the county, then we said we were not building roads. And I looked at the personnel, the policy manual as of 2015, and it didn't mention roads as the responsibility of the district. So sometime between 2015 and now, apparently the board, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Right, I'll get you up to date here.
I can show you the resolution,
Appreciate it.
if they can expedite the road.
There's about 4 years ago, wasn't it? It's right when you came on. Okay.
All right, any more new business? Anybody have any new business anymore for now?
I have two. Oh, PayPal. Harry was on PayPal. Greg was on it before, and then Harry took it over. So he said he would be willing to send him for the board if the board wants to. But what it is it is a group with council of governments, public city, public county, school districts, everybody that is some kind of a government. And we meet the last Thursday of every month.
I will make a motion at this time that we nominate here. Go ahead and continue to as a volunteer and report his findings to the board.
As a, I don't know,
Trust me, nobody wants to go. Trust me,
so they're an hour meeting. What it is,
you get a free lunch.
yeah, we show up at 10 to 12 and they go through that meeting, just boom, 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 boom. Usually in an hour, and it's not 20, which
It's just rubber stamp.
We'll have a motion on the floor. Move to second discussion. I guess a couple questions after discussion. Are there any other board members that would be interested in doing that? Because it is, from what I've heard, I'm not.
If there is, I will withdraw my
It's
motion.
not really, not to be real effective, but it does keep us in front of the public. I would agree. I think Sherry would be good at that.
Would be kind of a relationship there too. We both follow
Yeah.
it.
Yes, I agree.
And just so everybody knows, there's zero decision making. Okay, you vote on this stuff, but it's all been already done. It's already been put in front of you. All you are is rubber stamping this stuff. It's a committee that's required by the federal government. And
The staff does all the work.
the staff does all the work.
Everybody else
Everybody else
goes,
do that rubber stamp.
Well, basically what I'm asking is if Ray or Clint want to do it.
Well, that's a negatory.
Okay, let's move the second for Harry, let's go. All in favor, Harry being nominated and accepting his offer to continue with that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Harry.
You can call him with the good news.
he kind of enjoys it.
I'm sure he does. He likes to visit with people. He can be fun with that.
Okay. I think anybody else have any new business? Let's go to the next one, Jim.
CCACC, you have one new bill, is 4,100 to rate with the house. It goes in section 3.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
move to second, any questions, discussion? Let's vote. Ray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Who got that?
The action items. Or have anything,
I got that over, didn't
No, I wouldn't care. Commit for this meeting.
I know they're investigating a lot of the old ones and the new ones that have come in. A lot of them is.
I was- We're ready to look at, the issues and approve something. If we commit,
maybe they'll open it up just a little bit. We kind of don't have any action items, maybe mainly because I think that the advisory committee and wait for the new board to consider issues of the architectural advisory. And is the new board willing to address that issue and make any changes necessary to what I would consider give them authority to take some of these actions without what people come up. But if that's the case, then we need to put that on the, I guess I'm asking the board. And are we gonna make changes to architecture committee?
Well, if I may answer, I would say that I don't know enough about yet what the board is doing now as it pertains to architectural advisory committee. So I would need kind of once again, kind of a field trip, you know, just to sit down and figure out what you're doing exactly. And
Okay,
I do that.
Sarah, I think that, I've been too faithful. And you've helped out Nancy, on this. Could you kind of give both camp and Dave kind of an update of how we have been doing it?
I'll be glad to join you. I mean, we updated forms, we followed through with a lot to make the process, easy, I guess, for the board to review. Because we do, okay, we look at it, at the complaint, we go out and take pictures. We have a form that we suggest in a first letter. There's the first, second, and third letter. The next step would be a legal step. At that point, the board has to make a decision because the committee doesn't have that power to make that decision. New builds, we do the same thing. We have our forms, we go through every step, we verify that they go through Pebble County and zoning. We turn around and review the property lines, the stakes, make sure all the paperwork's there, make sure the covenants are going to be followed. Provide all that paperwork in a file, make sure like we have, I told the front desk, when somebody comes in about a new bill, tell them we meet every Thursday at 1:00. And we had somebody come in because they did mention that. They came in, they said, we're just starting, but we're gonna make sure we're right. And everything is followed properly. So we have a process all in place, we have the forms all in place, we've updated them, so we hope that we're not missing one step. Another step is working with the county. Okay, and knowing that. Now, I've talked to some of our residents that said we could not do something about it, but here's the process. When you go to the county, you go online, you fill out the form, and we follow up with that with them. They've taken pictures, they've shown us what they've done, so we're in contact with them that way. We try to do great communication back and forth so that keeps moving. So we would be glad to sit down, have you come to the meeting, go through step by step and let you know what we're doing so you feel comfortable. When you get the information that says we want to send a first letter, second letter, third, what we would like to do is first letter. If you approve the first letter and it's still going on, we would automatically do the second letter. If it's still going on, we'd automatically do the third, but we want to make sure that reasonable, you think that's reasonable in that process. And we would go up to that point, but then when it came to the next step, because we don't have the authority, the board would have to approve the next move, which would be more or less a decision about, yeah. So that's kind of the overall process. Please come, we tell the community, and like I said, we've had people in our community, in our meetings. I talk to them on the phone, we try to communicate over the phone also. We call them, we say, okay, we don't have enough information. Could you, tell us a little bit more, what's the issue here? So we're trying to open the door so that they don't feel like it's going into a black hole and nobody cares.
When do you meet this?
Every Thursday at 1:00.
Well, but basically, I think one of the points here is the fact that the board has constrained the committee with absolutely no authority. And that's made the combination that we need to,
Yeah.
we need to think about.
And one of
Can we give them more authority?
Yeah, and one thing we did discuss is the board appointed them to oversee it for us in a way. So they need to have a little bit more authority. We trusted them to do it. And then Nancy's very thorough. And they did update the form, which I really like, because now without you having to, us having to ask you tons of questions every time you come in here, it's all just kind of laid out there. So I think that helps a lot, that form tonight. Helps a lot with everything.
Yeah, we just need to understand that, so there's not delays. So we can process everything. Make it run smooth. Sorry.
Another thing we talked about is they were getting a lot of complaints that didn't have a lot of information, so it was kind of a waste of time to them. Because they've always been anonymous. So we kind of discussed if they don't want to give them enough information to find the issue, then they need to supply their contact information. Kind of how we went about it, right? Which I understand being anonymous, but they also can't just say the shed over on that road by that house.
Well, we had complaints, like I was out walking and, I found this and this, but they wouldn't sign it. They didn't have a street. So when we explained it to some people, boy, they went out and they said, okay, this street, this, this. And most of them have, I'll put my name and number, put that on it correctly.
Somehow we have to get this back moving again, but we're getting process when we're getting ready to.
So, if I may. So, we need to make a motion to what we need to do. My opinion, I'm gonna make that motion in a second. To allow CCAC. So one of the reasons why when we started all this, because I was involved in it from the very beginning. And one of the reasons why we started all this is because I didn't want happening what happened before. I wanted to make sure that there was accountable people being held accountable. Right, here's the accountable people. Okay. However, I do think that we can streamline this.
Okay.
And I completely agree with basically what you said. The board here confirms and approves the original complaint. Okay, once we're confirmed and approved of the original complaint, you take it from there, all the way through the third level.
Okay.
Before it goes to legal, then it has to come back to the board, I feel. Would that be something that you would be comfortable?
Yeah.
Us giving you the authority basically to take care of it from the first letter, once we approve it, all the way through the third, and coming back to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will make a motion at this time.
I think you have something.
Oh, sorry.
But if it's resolved, do you feel like they need to bring it to us?
No.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that about closing it.
I just think it'd be
So,
something that.
I guess I could put it on, would you mind putting it on maybe a sheet just showing results?
yeah, we can, if there's I need
We have
to.
a motion on the floor. We gotta get this from there.
Okay. I'm making a motion to allow CCAC to do follow-up
letters after the original complaint is verified by the board through the third letter.
Okay, I got a motion for that. I have a second. Moving second. Now we can start discussion. All right. Go ahead. I heard Clint saying something.
If it gets all the way back to us, ready to end the legal list, are we going to admit following through all the way through legal, or are we going to, depending on the cost?
That'd be up to us.
Because otherwise, it's gonna be a waste of time for the
A little bit of, just clarification there. We have had recommendation from our attorney that the letter does state that may take legal action. We've had clarification from that's legal action is simply contact the attorney, if that's what we decide. So we can go beyond that if we want to, but that is considered legal action.
But how often in the past have we gone?
Right.
Yeah.
We need, we do need. So with your,
So,
But it gives you a choice, asking, okay, if it's something about a dumpster, or if it's something about an RV. Where, you know, that's where you get to make the choice of how important is it to you, what is your priority over.
Money being spent.
so I think that as your motion stands, I guess I'm kind of in favor of getting us out of it. And giving them the authority, if a complaint shows up at the office, if a complaint comes in, they take care of it. We don't even have to get started with it until it gets to the point of legal action. Then we take care of it. And at all points, whoever the citizen is out there, if they want to, they could appeal to the board for any kind of action. But if, as it is now, with your motion, in order for us to do our due diligence, we would need to study that municipal complaint. Actually study it to approve it. If we could give them the authority to decide if this is a legitimate complaint, let them take care of it. Now, if the citizen wants to appeal to us, absolutely, we're here to listen to their appeal. But we need to somehow get out of this to where they can take action and get moving on this and do something. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just, I have the utmost respect to the architectural control. My wife served on it for 8 years back in the day. I'm not sure how, if you look at the way they do it in the Pueblo West Metro District, how they've been able to keep their architectural control separate from their metro board without, we never, when I was on the board before, we never had an issue where it came to us that we were going to take something as a board, as a metro board. Now, the architectural control committee, they had to go through some methods, but we've gotten this tangled up in a way that I don't understand. I'm just saying that, and that's been my position even before the election. It's just, I don't understand it.
What I do, I'm afraid what I do understand is that we have, but I do believe that the board certainly is the feeling authority. We need to be able to be the judge if somebody would have questioned. But other than that, somehow we've got to get this thing moving.
Man,
Go ahead.
so before, there was no way for them, there were permanently appointed people that were actually doing things that weren't legal. They were making waivers for covenants, they were doing all kinds of things that weren't kosher. So, and people had no way to appeal those type of decisions to somebody who was accountable. Because those people were assigned to the board, were put on that board, and they weren't voted into that board. They were just assigned to the board and they could stay there for as long as they want. Okay, now the way we've got it set up, there's 5 accountable people right here. Okay, so if we start acting like the Gestapo and the citizens of Colorado City decide that we have done too much, guess what? We don't get reelected. And there's 5 accountable people. And giving them the authority for the letters, I have no problem with, but giving them the authority to start the process at the very beginning without us looking at it, I think is us. I think that's us, not doing our duty. And, actually, quite frankly, I think it might make us liable, if we don't look at the stuff the way we got it set up. We need to look at it to begin with, prove it, and then trust her to take care of it, her and the board to take care of it all the way through to legal. And then we've got to decide as a board, okay, all 5 of us have to make the decision whether or not we're gonna take it to legal, whether or not it's important enough for us to take it. And that's gonna be a vote.
Wasn't there one on that list? The lawyer was called about that one. Do we have?
Do we have action?
Wasn't the lawyer called about the one in that one? Yeah.
And certainly,
So we did have legal action on one.
The only thing I would add, is that what in the past, what we did was the people who were on the architectural committee were appointed. And so that was the, accountability that you're talking about. If there was somebody, the citizen voter could, do the same thing if you put a bunch of, to use your word, Gestapo on the architectural control committee, the citizens could, take care of that at the polls if they wanted to, or they could recall. And either one of those steps, if the architectural control committee treated the bad people. So they would have the option to do that if the Metro board was because of the election process.
I do think that we, the board, we have to be in the field, so we have to give them the field, the ability to feel. I do believe that. Well, go ahead.
Do we have a percentage of, I think it's percentage of complaints that people just correct right off the get-go, or they don't get the second letter? Predominantly, most people fix those things, or do they ignore it?
There's a combination, and I don't have the exact numbers, okay? There are people when two things happen. When they're seeing something is moving, other people fall in place, and then we have those who just, and we have also on the group, we have people who own properties that don't live there. They're, in California, they're in Wisconsin, they're in Illinois, they're all over the place, and we process the letters, okay? And sometimes they don't respond at all, or they might say, well, you have to contact the person, if it's a building I'm renting to, because they have to correct. Well, they won't correct it necessarily. They feel the people who own the property have to correct. So you run into those kind of things also. But I think overall, for the community, if we do nothing, nobody will react. If they see a process in place, many will react. Now, you will still have, as you well know, I'm sure with everything you deal with, there are people who just totally, yes, refuse or say, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, or it's my property, I'll do what I want. But there's covenants in place. We're not trying to change the covenants, we're trying to have them follow.
So, because some of the things like that have happened, like that trailer that's down there off of Center or whatever. So, well, it's down in the, we haven't shot now. It's been sitting there for 2 years. Well, people have bought or started to make payments on the property, they moved the trailer in, they thought we stopped in there. Well, they paid $200 or $2,000 for the trailer, and then I was going to leave it there, and now it went back to the old property owners, and it's trying to get them to get it out. But, you're in that situation that you have, health department don't want to touch it because we don't have anybody living. Building department it's just tough, so for that whole round.
Mr.
Did that answer your question?
Mr. Chairman, one more thing, I'll shut up. The idea is that, I think we've got a lot of really important things to do with water and sewer and gas. I would be perfectly in favor of letting the Metro Board accept more responsibility. If we could have a separate meeting with, maybe with members of the Architectural Advisory Committee, instead of using the board business time to do that. I would be perfectly willing to go to an extra meeting to handle the architectural issues if they're awesome, rather than with all this other stuff. That's my position. I'll be glad.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more question, discussion on that motion? Would you, recite your motion?
Okay. It's a motion to allow CCAAC to do follow-up letters after original complaint is verified by the board through the third letter.
All right, let's go on that. Three?
No? Yes.
Yeah. Greg?
Yes.
Yes, it passed. In making that, I think that there still might be some fine tuning, but the big issues are good with this going.
Yeah.
We do have to get it going. So, I think for the Architectural Advisory Committee, yes, we recognize that it is our responsibility, the board's responsibility to study the complaint, and what you bring in front of us, and authorize you to take action from that point. Okay. Anything else from the board?
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Move and second. We're adjourned.
Everyone out, take 3 miles. Yes.
Right? What? Yeah.
Are these
Cheers. Trash is trash, right?
No.
It's a whole different
Great. And understand. And so, yeah, because we're the ones that are very valuable. Maybe they were going to stay.
I'm gonna get some more cakes before
They
she
come
comes.
separate.
Yeah.
And they.
But some of them.
Yeah.
Because they can't.
Well. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you so much.
So right now, maybe figure out to. On your time, whenever you're ready. So, no, absolutely, yeah.
Where is this? Where is this? Yeah. Well, just a quick journey, this is less important. Tell me about the. Yes, got the emergency.
Okay, so, we shouldn't have got out of them, because of our mission.
Yeah.
Valdez, got us out.
I'm wasn't sure what happened, but yeah. That could be enough to tell you right there, shouldn't. But anyway, because it's part of our mission statement, we have to supply roads. To people build.
So we've got
Just
that right.
leave it. And,
Warranty.
next meeting, Bill back up.
They have to pay a $25. Perfect.
Okay.
That covers costs.
Thank you.
If they want a free road, they go away. We do have a legal obligation.
Do we make any money on the road?
We make money.
Okay. So, I don't want to take too much time. I just want, we should,
They have dinner. I didn't think it's-
after.
I thought we were having a lunch.
We Oh, yeah, and several things too. It's,
What do they do?
well, what they did was they had a Colorado City style road, which was not, it's not up to county standards. I live on a different.
Yeah, but our standards that we put in place all the time, were basically county standards with the exception of curb cut.
They may have been, but somehow, anyway, the operator came in and he got a little deep. And now he's brought all the clay and debris and donies, and it's full of holes, it's full of, it's remarkably. That's what I told Jim. I said, I thought we would talk, and he goes, because it's, it's a lot of road. It's a.
It sounds like the operator.
It was hard.